person's attitude towards work determines the success or failure of one's business or personal enterprise. Work may either motivate or demotivate a worker depending on his perception and attitude towards work itself. This chapter examines the human, philosophical, and theological meaning of work and their implications to the worker himself. At the end of this chapter, the students are expected to understand the importance of developing a right attitude towards work. Develop a personal work ethic. Examine the difference between human and spiritual dimensions of work. Find ways and means to enjoy work personally and with others. And the last is to become a productive employee and worker. Let us start by defining what is work. Work is both personal and social activity. As a personal activity, it is aimed at developing a person. It is you who will do the work. Your talent, skills, knowledge, strength, or physical powers will be used to accomplish a certain task or a work. And from that, a person will develop his skills and knowledge towards the work itself. He will develop his socializing skills towards the organization. Now, as a social activity, its purpose is the preservation of human society. Through work, a person helps in developing the economy. Therefore, work has moral and legal implications. It is both a privilege and a duty. Work is the legitimate use of our mental and bodily powers for economic gain or profit. Work is the use or the application of our physical powers to accomplish certain tasks. We use our hands to write or make paperworks, to create furnitures, to cut hairs of the customers, to massage, to cook, and many more. We use our minds to make creative ideas, thoughts, and opinions. The purpose of work is to obtain an economic gain or power, to make a living, to have money to buy foods or our daily needs, to send our loved ones to school, especially the children, and to develop our economy.
From the biblical point of view, God is seen as the author of work, and He also blessed and sanctified work. In the Old Testament, God did not only create man, He is also the author of work. In Genesis chapter 1, God creates pattern of work and rest for us to follow. He created the world for 6 days and rested on the seventh day. The reason for this respite is for man to appreciate and value the meaning of work.
Stories of the Bible. Creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was empty, formless, and dark. But the Spirit of God was there. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light." And God saw that the light was good. Then He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness night. On the second day, God said, "Let there be a space to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth." God called the space sky. On the third day, God said, "Let the waters beneath the sky flow together into one place, so dry ground may appear." God called the dry ground land and the waters seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land sprout with every sort of plant and tree." and God saw that it was good. On the fourth day, God said, "Let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night." God made two great lights, the sun for the day and the moon for the night. He also made the stars. God set these lights in the sky to light the earth, and God saw that it was good. On the fifth day, God said, "Let the waters swarm with fish and other life. Let the skies be filled with birds of every kind." And God saw that it was good. On the sixth day, God said, "Let the earth make every sort of animal." God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock and small animals, each able to have babies of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, to be like us." So God created man in his own image. He formed man from the dust of the ground. He breathed the breath of life into man, and a man became alive. Then he saw that the man needed a helper, so God put man into a deep sleep, and while he slept, God took one of the man's ribs. Then God made a woman from the rib and brought her to the man.
Hi!
Then God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and rule over it. Rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground." Then God said, "Look, I have given you every plant throughout the earth, and all the fruit trees for your food, and I have given you every green plant as food for all the animals." Then God looked over all he had made, and he saw that it was very good. So the creation of the heavens and the earth and everything in them was done. So on the seventh day, God rested from all his work, and God blessed the seventh day and said it was holy.
In the New Testament, the meaning of work can be well understood from the perspective of the mystery of God's incarnation. When Christ became a man, humanity was blessed and sanctified, including human work. Christ, the Son of God, therefore, is not a drudgery, not even a curse, but an activity that has been blessed and sanctified, and therefore must also sanctify the worker himself.
Good day, everyone. I'm Christy Ilan, and today I'm going to report the theological meaning of work of Saint Thomas Aquinas. But before we dig to the main topic, let us know first who is Saint Thomas Aquinas. Anyway, my report is all about the theological meaning of work according to Saint Thomas Aquinas. This is Saint Thomas Aquinas, guys, my great-grandfather, Char. Saint Thomas Aquinas is an Italian-born monk who taught at the University of Paris. Saint Thomas Aquinas was a Catholic priest in the Dominican order and one of the most important medieval philosophers and theologians. He was immensely influenced by scholasticism and Aristotle and known for his synthesis of the two aforementioned traditions. Although he wrote many works of philosophy and theology throughout his life. His two monumental works are Summa Theologica and Summa Contra Gentiles. But his most influential work is Summa Theologica, that extensively discusses man, which consists of three parts: the gods, ethics, and Christ. In this video, we will focus on Summa Theologica. The Summa Theologica is divided into three parts, and each of these three parts contain numerous subdivisions. Part 1 deals primarily with God and comprises discussions of 119 questions concerning the existence and nature of God, which can be found in Genesis in the Bible. the creation, angels, the work of the 6 days of creation, the essence and nature of man, and divine government. Part 2 is Demand. Deals with man and includes discussions of 303 questions concerning the purpose of man, habits, types of laws, vices and virtues, prudence and justice, fortitude and temperance, graces and the religious versus the secular life. Part 3 deals with Christ and comprises discussions of 90 questions concerning the incarnation, sacraments, and resurrection. Can be read also in 4 Gospels. Summa Theologica include a supplement comprising discussions of an additional 99 questions concerning a wide variety of loosely related issues such as excommunication. Excommunication is the most severe form of ecclesiastical penalty and is used only as an absolute last resort. Excommunicants remain Catholic because of baptism and still obligated to attend Mass, but they are deprived of all sacraments except for the sacraments of penance. For example, you can go to Mass but never receive the Holy Eucharist. The excommunicated are forbidden from employment or holding any position of authority in diocese or parish. They are also deprived of a Catholic burial. Remember, being excommunicated from the Catholic Church is widely misunderstood. It doesn't mean that you're banned from church and stripped of your Catholicism. Rather, excommunication is a strong remedial penalty meted out with the hope that it will wake you up and move you to true repentance and back into full communion with the faithful. In short, it's reversible. Indulgences. In the Roman Catholic Church, an indulgence is the remission of temporal punishment brought about by sin. This punishment consists of either earthly sufferings or the time spent after death in purgatory. Typically, a writ of indulgence issued by the Church and given to an individual who has demonstrated some type of penance or good work. Indulgences can be applied to oneself or to the soul of a deceased person. Not everyone agrees on the technicalities surrounding indulgences or on the theology behind them. For this reason, the term is somewhat ambiguous and subject to much confusion. In the Catholic tradition, there are 2 types of indulgences, the partial and the plenary indulgences. A partial removes part of one's punishment or suffering, while a plenary indulgence removes all of one's punishment or suffering. Historically, indulgences have been linked to earning time of purgatory. The abuse of indulgences was a primary cause of the Protestant Reformation in the early 16th century. Next is the confession. This confession is the sacrament of reconciliation, is one of the most unique and beautiful aspects of Catholicism. Jesus Christ, in his abundant love and mercy, established the sacrament of confession so that we as sinners can obtain forgiveness for our sins and reconcile with God and the Church. The sacrament washes us clean and renews us in Christ. Next is marriage. Marriage in Catholic Church, also called matrimony, is a covenant by which a man and a woman establish between themselves a partnership of the whole of life and which is ordered by its nature to the good of the spouses and the procreation and education of offspring, and which has been raised by the Christ the Lord to the dignity of a sacrament between the baptized. Second to the last is the purgatory. Purgatory is the condition, process, or place of purification or temporary punishment in which, according to the medieval Christian and Roman Catholic belief, the souls of those who die in a state of grace are made ready for heaven. And last is the relation of the saints toward the dumb. Catholics venerate the saints and look to them as examples of lives we live in the faith. Many find comfort in the knowledge that holy people shared in their same struggles, sins, doubts, or hardships and ask specific saints to pray for them, right? Some saints are the patrons of certain occupations or causes, and these saints are often invoked to aid people in those professions or situations. For example, Saint Jude is the patron saint of the impossible or desperate causes, and many Catholics ask him to pray on their behalf for the resolution of seemingly impossible situations in their lives. The Summa Theologica, as it entitles indicate, is a theological summary. It seeks to describe the relationship between God and man, and to explain how man's reconciliations with the divine is made possible at all through Christ. To this end, Aquinas cites proofs for the existence of God and outlines the activities and nature of God. Approximately one half of the Summa Theologica examines the nature and purpose of the man. Finally, Aquinas devotes his attention to the nature of Christ and the rule of the sacraments, inflicting a bridge between God and man. His examinations includes how angels act on bodies, the union of body and soul, the cause and the remedies of anger, and the comparison of one sin with another. Next is the angelic doctor of the Church, Saint Thomas Aquinas enumerates the four purposes of work in his treatise entitled Summa Theologica. First is it provides for one's daily livelihood. Whereas the household suffices for providing the daily necessities of life, the village of wrongdoers and other preventable threats to safety or livelihood. Second is it prevents idleness, which is a source of many evils. The word idleness is used into two different senses. It sometimes means the state of a man who is not employed in any work. Idleness in this sense is not blamable, as every man requires occasional periods of rest and recreation. And it is the height of folly to attempt to be always at work. When, however, we speak of the evils of idleness, we mean by idleness the neglect of work at a time when we ought to be working. There can be no doubt that the tendency to idleness in this sense is most prejudicial to virtue, happiness, and success in life. The boy who allows himself at school or college to contract idle habits is laying a sure foundation for failure and happiness in his future life. In the first place, his idleness prevents him from educating himself thoroughly for his future career. In the second place, the idle habits he has formed by wasting his time in the past will make it extremely difficult for him to work steadily in his profession or calling. Third is it curbs the rebellious flesh. The flesh is the base. Here sin operates. The world works and Satan moves. Satan lives in the flesh. Sin dwells in our flesh. And the world has a way in us through the flesh. All the work of Satan in man is accomplished by means of the flesh. Because Satan dwells in our flesh, God hates the flesh as much as he hates Satan, and he wants to destroy the flesh as much as he wants to destroy Satan. We can read this in the Exodus, Deuteronomy, and Samuel. When in our experience we put the flesh to death, the world cannot hold us. Sin cannot operate in us, and Satan is powerless to work on us. We can also read that in the Galatians and Roman. The flesh doesn't just commit sins or wrongdoings. The flesh is against God and is in rebellion against his governmental administration. Since the flesh is a hand against the administration of God, it is in the rebellion against the economy of God's administration, whatever God's thus governmentally the flesh opposes. Last one is it enables man to give alms from his material surplus. Today, we talk about charity instead of almsgiving. Alms are resources given to the needy. A precept is a general principle that provides a necessary foundation when choosing a course of action. In other words, it is a general law that guides right action, but it does not necessarily spell out specific actions that we must do in a particular cases. Since, however, precepts are about acts of virtues, it follows that almsgiving must be a matter of precept, in so far as it's necessary to virtue, namely, in so far as it's demanded by right reason. Now, right reason demands that we should take into consideration something on the part of the giver and something on the part of the recipient. On the part of the giver, it must be noted that he should give of his surplus according to Luke 11 verse 41. For St. Thomas Aquinas, man is called to serve God through his work. Work is the legitimate use of our mental and bodily powers for economic gain or profit. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Hello guys, I'm Justin Shingai and I'm going to report the human perspective of work. So from human perspective, from our perspective, work rather than jobs or employment is a relevant concept. Work is the means for unleashing human potential, creativity, innovation, and spirit. When there is a work, there is also a worker or there are other workers. In human perspective, work is considered as an object in which there is a task to be done. And the human person is considered as the subject, the one who will do the task. And when we work, we are able to accomplish something, defines ourselves, measures our work as a person, develops ourselves, and provides an occasion to relate with others, and a context that refers to other workers and the works that is related to the task to be done. So, for example, the task to be done is to make sure a company is efficiently operating. So, an accountant as a worker of the company will do his or her duty to make sure the company is efficiently operating by accessing the financial records. His or her work includes analyzing data, finance reports, budgets, tax returns, and other accounting records or other works that are related to it. That's it.
How to enjoy work and create spiritual values in the workplace. Practice the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Mojo was so upset. He showed respect for a whole day and no one came to his Foursquare game. "This respect business is so overrated," he said. "Well, at least I'm still VIM. For the next few days at least." What do you mean?" "There'll be a new VIM soon, Mojo. It changes every week. You'll have to give your sash away." "No! I won't give up my VIM sash. You'll have to pry it from my cold green hands. It's the only thing anyone ever looked up to me for." "That's not true. You just need to save up some respect." "I already tried that." "Not quite. You just tried to take respect. You didn't try to save it." "What do you mean?" Mojo asked. "Respect is like a piggy bank. Every time you're respectful to someone, they give you some respect to put in your bank. When you're not respectful, it's like you spend your respect without getting any back. Right now, you've been so disrespectful that your bank is almost empty. But if you treat everyone the way you want to be treated, your piggy bank will get bigger over time. It might take a while, and you can't just do it once or twice, but if you keep at it, your bank can be full of coins." "Wow, Katie, that's a great rule. It's making everything full of gold, like a golden rule." "I guess you could call it that." "So, by showing respect,
I can get respect back, and I grow it little by little. All right, I can do this. It'll just take some time.
Mojo went back to the class, determined to fill his piggy bank up. Every morning, he tried to find some new way to be nice to his classmates. He tried to figure out what they wanted and how he could help. As he kept doing it day after day, they seemed happier when he was around. He could almost feel his respect growing, and before he knew it, it was time to announce the very important monster for the next week. Harry Monster!
Great job, Harry. You really wrote the book on this one. I'm so glad you get to be the VIM.
Thanks, Mojo. Glad to see you're turning over a new page.
The week was over. Mojo was no longer VIM. Did that mean Mojo's classmates wouldn't talk to him anymore? Was he not important? Or did his classmates still respect him? Had his piggy bank become large enough that even though he wasn't VIM, he still had respect? How is your piggy bank looking? And when did you last add to it? Interesting questions indeed.
Guard your mouth. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens his lips comes to ruin. Stop the green jokes. Not all the people around you love to hear jokes which makes them feel awkward and uncomfortable. So you must control and limit yourself when talking about it. Practice ethical behavior. It is about knowing the difference between what you have right to do and what is right to do. Learn to forgive. Forgiveness is the best form of love. Know how to forgive, but you should also learn from it. Be generous. Generosity is the most natural outward expression of an inner attitude of compassion. Respect your superiors and co-workers. When employee respects each other and get along in the workplace, it's amazing how productivity increases, morale increases, and employees are more courteous to customers. Be considerate. Be considerate and have compassion for the people. It's also a way of showing careful thoughts. Perform your work and fulfill your duties to the best of your ability. Bring out the best in you and show everyone what you got. Be a grateful person. Be the better version of yourself. Avoid negativities and follow the right path. Do not bring the problems at home in your workplace or vice versa. You should not let your problems ruin every plans you have. You have to let it go and start again. Be an inspiration to others. Be honest and true to yourself to inspire others. Read the Bible every day. Learning from God's words and messages helps us in every way of our living. We can learn and apply it in our lives. Develop a personal relationship with God. Opening yourself to God helps you to become more stronger and pure. It allows you to embrace the goodness and avoid the wrong things. And lastly, smile and enjoy your work. Remember, work has been sanctified. It must also sanctify.
Now let us go to the basic duties of workers. First is to work honestly and comply with all agreements. As a worker, you must work with honesty and follow the instructions given to you that is lawful. Second is to never injure capital nor steal from the employer. You should be professional in your work. You must set aside your personal interests or else you will suffer consequences. Third is to never outrage the person of the employer. In a workplace, you must respect one another. Set aside those personal interests and focus on your work. Number 4 is to never employ deceit or violence in presenting a cause. Again, you must be honest at all times. And the last is to never consult with the agitators or men of evil principles. To achieve the organization's ultimate goal, which is to earn profit, you must not listen to those who has an evil principles. The organization must be united, help and support one another in order to achieve the ultimate goal. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. This is Grace Joy Misoles, and today I will be discussing my assigned topic for Chapter 9, which is Protestant Work Ethics. Martin Luther, who started the Reformation during the Renaissance period as a protest against some of the doctrines of the Catholic Church, also came up with a new perspective of work for his followers. Martin Luther believed that people could serve God through their works. A person should work diligently his chosen occupation and should not try to change from the profession to which he was called. To do so would go against God's will. Work is perceived to be the universal base of society and the cause of differing social classes. And lastly, each person should earn an income which would meet his basic needs. But to accumulate wealth was considered sinful. So now, let us talk about the principles believed by Protestant work ethics. So first, predestination. The belief that God has chosen the elect. So elect is a person chosen by God to inherit eternal life, and all others are condemned, and nothing could change that because God is unchanging. So there is a path believed by Protestant work ethic. They believe that hard work leads to success, and success leads to heaven. Next principle, all men must work, even the rich, because to work is the will of God. Next, reinvest the profits of labor into financing further ventures. And lastly, selection of an occupation and pursuing it to achieve the greatest profit possible is perceived as a religious duty. So now, let us talk about the key elements of Protestant work ethic. First, self-discipline. Second, hard work. Third, diligence. Fourth, punctuality. Fifth, determinant of gratification. Sixth, primacy of the work domain. That ends our report for Chapter 9. Thank you for watching and God bless.